Hello, everyone. Welcome to a wonderful episode of Effect House Office Hours with Celine and August, your favorite combo. It is so nice to seeing you, and I already see so many people are in the chat. Thank you so much, everyone, for coming. We are super excited to have you here. Today, up on a poll, we have a fun question. Would you rather have a pet alligator, cat, camel, or a horse? So please put your votes in. We have a singular vote at the moment, and alligator is winning by a single one vote. But I want to see what your preferences would be. And today with me, I have a wonderful interactive engineer and a smart overall creative genius, August.
Hey, Celine, how's it going?
Going good. How are you, August?
I'm great. Happy to start the stream and make some cool stuff.
Yep. I see that Heather is on the chat. I see Sasha, Mike Blackhat, and hashtag Latino Heat. We already have so many people joining us from the Latin region. So thank you so much for visiting. How are you guys doing? I feel like I haven't checked in with you guys in a while. How are you guys doing? How's the weather there? Recently, it's been a weird, finicky month for Los Angeles. I mean, I feel like I pay a lot of weather tax to ensure that I live in a good climate, but recently the weather has been rainy and cold, but only during the weekends, which is why I think it's a ploy. Like during a regular day, we have the most amazing, perfect weather, and then during the weekend, we always have rainy, drab weather, and I think it's not fair and someone's intentionally trying to mess with us.
Well, one thing I'll say is you'll never catch the coelacanth on a sunny day.
I don't know what that means.
You never caught the rarest fish in Animal Crossing when it was raining.
Oh. Okay.
uh,
Fun
anyway,
fact, I play Animal Crossing like a typical Korean fashion. So when I started playing Animal Crossing, I just found out, okay, this is how much debt I need to pay off in order to have my house. And then I just grind and grind. And then I found out like the most efficient way to earn money was by having another island's fruit. So I wiped off and decimated my entire island, which was I think an apple island. And I got peach that someone gave me, and then I replanted the entire island in peach. But later on, this backfired on me because I needed to find some apple, and because I was so enthusiastically like planting them, I couldn't find an apple. But I paid off my loans, and then I was like, now what do I do? So I feel like a lot of the friends that I made, I asked them like, hey, how do you play Animal Crossing? And they're like, oh yeah, I go enjoy fishing. I talk to my neighbors, and like whenever my neighbors were trying to talk to me, I'm like, busy. I gotta harvest peaches. So
with my brother and sister and I, we would basically do a thing where we would travel to each other's island, and I would drop out all of my pockets full of apples and pick up as many peaches as I could fit, and it would be like a big trade every day.
that is so funny. Okay, guys, let me know if you have any Animal Crossing fun stories. I should have made the today's poll. If I knew we were going to be talking about Animal Crossing, I should have made today's poll about like which Animal Crossing island were you, and then it would be like the four fruits. Okay.
Yeah, I remember.
Okay, starting off with our first question of the day. Um, I think this is a duplicate question because August told me that he might have already seen this question before, but I'm still going to read it out loud. How to use how to change the color of your lips according to what you have on the slider bar. So let me see if I can bring up the prompt so you guys can see what this person is also asking. Give me one question. 1 second. Here we go. Okay, so this is the screenshot that they have attached to our Discord page. So guys, if you want to ask a question but the office hours aren't available like exactly when you have the question, you can also add it to our page because we go through our Discord and answer questions as well. So don't forget to leave us a question there. But this is what the prompt looks like. They have a slider bar here with the different lipstick options, and they want to match their lipstick color to whatever it is in the slider. And bonus points if you get to randomize it a little with Pout. But how can we do this, August?
So we want to randomize it with a Pout.
Yes, but I think mostly to show people how you can select a lipstick color with the slider.
Gotcha. So, I don't know how many people noticed this in the past when we released Heart Mosaic. This is a super interesting template. It's not really following any trends. I actually pitched it from one of my own effects that I released, and we changed it from looking like the Matrix kind of like hacker code to a bunch of hearts for Valentine's Day. And so, since this is like one of my personal favorite templates where we're doing all this weird stuff with shaders, I also snuck in this slider that I had been kind of working on in my own time and pitched, hey, maybe this is a great place for a slider. So now we have probably the best slider that we have in any template because of how modular it is. So you'll find it here titled horizontal slider for mosaic materials and vertical slider. So they're kind of pre-packaged here, but if you just want to use a slider, it's all right here. So we have the vertical slider here, and this is very portable. So if you go inside the subgraph and you find vertical slider, this subgraph, I think, is probably one of the most valuable things in this tutorial. So I'll start with that. Just if we're ever going to do a slider thing, I'll probably always open this project and grab this. Or personally, I already have this saved in a subgraph folder on my computer. But actually, yeah, let's export this, and then we'll make a project where we use it to control the lipstick color, so you can see how to export parts of projects, because that's super valuable as well. So I would go to click on it's called the hamburger menu, this stack of 3 lines. And I would just go to vertical slider, not the first one, but the second one, and just click the little download button. And this will let you download it and just save it somewhere, wherever you want. Actually, I can't remember where mine is saved, so I actually am going to save it just for this. So I'll save it in my live demo folder where I save all of our projects after we're done with these live streams.
Perfect. We appreciate that.
And we'll just call it a vertical slider. We'll leave the horizontal one because it's basically the same thing, just with the X and Y values swapped. Okay, and you'll notice the only 2 things that you need to take with you is the vertical slider bar and vertical slider knob. So yeah, I'll find where those are, but let's see. I think what you would want is you would find the project files. So so you would save this project, even if you haven't done anything to it or don't want to do anything to it. And we would just go, let's see. Sorry, this part is kind of annoying just because I don't want to have like my Finder window with all of my other projects just shown on screen. So I'm kind of doing it off screen. And I would just go into the assets folder after you've saved it, and you'll find the textures. And there's all these .extra. Don't worry about that. But if you ever want to save a template and to get some of the assets out of it, you'll just go into all these folders, and you'll see in the UI textures folder, we have vertical slider, texture.png, all of this stuff. So this is where you'll find all of the assets from the template that you can reuse. Feel free to, if it's in a template, you can totally use it in your own projects. So yeah, that's just a tip. Okay, so let's go create this new project. You could also just delete all the stuff in the project if you just want the slider, but I think it's nice to have some portable pieces that you can bring into a project that's already started. So right off the bat, I'll just bring in my vertical slider and my knob. And you can do that with 2 PNGs just by dragging and dropping them. It's pretty nice. And then I'll go back to my live folder and grab that subgraph. Sorry, computers, they just have so many pieces, so many folders. Okay, so I'll bring my vertical slider. Here it is. So now let's set this up on the screen. I think we just want a screen image, and this will be our vertical slider. Okay, it's full screen. Let's make it like a half screen. And we'll center it so it's about half the size. And then we'll add another one, and this one will be our knob. And you don't have to use this heart. You can really use pretty much anything. Yeah, I'll show you. Like, you don't, like, you kind of think that you need to scale it perfectly, but it could literally be just any object and it'll just move along this line basically. Okay, so slider bar and slider knob. And just to be consistent with the rest of my streams, it makes way more sense if we can read what we're moving around and selecting. So I'll just make sure these are named so that we can see in here, it's a slider and a knob now. Okay, and now I think that should be enough for it to work. That's all you need. So that's why I wanted to show you like how you could export it, because I mean, it takes a little bit of work to get it out of one project and into another, but this is super portable. You don't plug anything into the output. You just have a slider and a knob, and then it will work. You might notice that when I'm dragging over here, it also works. Oh, that's because I have full screen hitbox. So you can uncheck that if you don't want it to work, but then you'll notice it's still kind of doing that. And that is because you see this big white box. This is the hitbox for it. So if you want it to be more tight on the slider, one thing you'll do is fit mode, stretch, but then you'll have to size it yourself. And you know, I think with sliders, some people will say you should get the exact pixel perfect like size so that it's perfect. Oh, I accidentally aligned it wrong. But I think as long as it looks good to you, that's all that matters. So you can see this, and then if I touch over here, it doesn't do it. So now it only works on this small part. And if you click outside of that part, it's not going to sense it as a touch. Yeah, I think what I prefer is using the fit, but with a slight edge like this. Okay. Slider lesson 101. Now, if you overclick by a little bit, it still senses it as a click and will still use the slider. And I think this is how most sliders in all apps work. They have a little bit of extra hitbox around them because they're kind of skinny. You don't want to like make it feel unwieldy for the person to have to aim their tap super accurately. Okay, so now we have this. And now let's change something with this. So let's add some lipstick, face mask, lip effect. Lip effect. If you follow me, you'll know that all of my effects are lip effects. Now, I don't know if I've ever done a lip effect. I need to get more into makeup. I tried it a little bit. I released the blushing effect that everybody loves and adores. Okay, so our lip color, our lip texture is here. Our lip opacity. Oh no. Okay, so do we want to add something else that allows us to change the lip color, or maybe this opacity is enough. So 0 opacity is just how it looks normally, but full opacity, you got nice red lips. And if you open your mouth only a little bit, maybe some red teeth. So we'll control this with the slider. So set opacity, and notice that anytime you have one of these sliders, or even if you don't have a slider, I'll show you how to do it with just a number as well. We'll give the normalized output here. Normalized just means it's from 0 to 1. So since our slider output is 0 to 1 and our opacity is 0 to 1, that's pretty good. So if you set it to drag stay, it'll keep updating as you move it. So as I move it up and down, you can see it changes. Maybe I should move it. I can't remember. I think if I set this as the child of this, it won't work. Oh no, it works. That's so smart of me. Thank you, past August, for making that easy.
The past August and current August working together.
I'm always so happy when I do that. I'm like, wow, you thought ahead for me. Thanks. Okay, and let's scale this down a little bit, but I don't like how it's squished. I think like the squished heart was like on purpose for the previous design. But if we switch this to stretch, we can make it look slightly less squished. And I like that. It reminds me of Love's gas stations across the country. Okay, so now this works. Let's add another thing. So instead of lip effect, face mask. What if, okay, let's do something that I've seen that's pretty popular. Maybe we'll do it with eye color. Okay. And then too bad we don't have, I guess we could use my face for this. So lips all the way red here. And then what we want to do is we'll duplicate our slider. We've got, we're going to have 4 sliders. And this is not an effect I would really make in real life. This would be too much. Okay, so this is 2. And then this is 1. Let's put them on, let's put these 3 on the other side. Some of you might know what I'm about to actually do. But this will be very valuable for the people who want to follow the RGB slider trend. So then we would just create multiple of these vertical sliders. Sometimes it's so funny, like if I don't interact with Celine for a while, I'm like, what are the chances the stream is just not running anymore? I've just been sitting here by myself.
I'll be peeping every. I'll do a little chirp.
Sure. Okay, so we'll do this for R because they're kind of aligned backwards, and then this for G, and then we'll do this one for B, and then we'll set up the knobs as well. So R knob, B knob. just like the fire smoke detectors at my parents' house.
LOL. Paula is also saying you made my life 1000% easier with that new node. Haha.
Oh yeah, I love this vertical slider node. I wish I got more publication or more like vision on it, but I didn't know how else to advertise it other than just evangelizing it during live streams. Okay, so a combined node, I think, is what we're looking for. And we'll just do color. And then we'll just say alpha is 1 because we don't need any transparency. And then I think the transparency would be this opacity value here. So then normalized output is going to be R, G, and B, just like I was talking about before. And And I think, okay, so on drag for each of these. So anytime you drag any of them, it'll update the color. Okay, now let's look at my eyes. Oh no. Oh no, wait. Is there something? I'm sorry about this, guys. Something weird about the colliders.
While August is working on that, I would like to update you guys on would you rather have a pet alligator, cat, camel, horse? I would like to mention that we are, as a community, maybe a little boring. Cat is winning by 50%, and nobody chose horse. I'm so sad that as a person who, like, created the stream, I can't vote on it because I would love to have my little pet horse, especially those little ones that are kind of fluffy, and small. I would, and also bonus points to the fact that you don't have to walk anywhere. I hate walking, and I would love, love, love to ride my mini pet horse around. Although, considering how much I weigh, it might be considered animal abuse. In that case, I would get a really big horse with like white fur. So do not report me, but cat is winning, and I understand that because they're so adorable. Actually, during the entire stream, the reason I always keep my microphone off and have to chirp to August is because they make a mess around. I don't know if anybody has seen, but there was a cat standing on my chair over here and rocking the entire desk, but I understand. Cat was at leading with 50%, alligators next, and then camel, and no horse. Give some love to my baby horse. Going back to August.
Yeah, so I think this is a great example of when to name all of your hierarchy items. I think I had the knob 1 and 3 switched, so they were acting really weird when I was tapping on one and it was trying to drive the knob on another. So I added names to keep them straight, and now they're all working in their own separate way. Although the normalized output, it seems like they all share it. So that is a little weird. Oh, okay. No, it's just a temporary output from the current position. Okay. So that is maybe, that's interesting. Okay. So you would have to do a little extra work because you're not, the thing is, when you do this drag stay, you should be saving this variable. And I kind of didn't think about that. So I didn't save it. It's just going into this 3 variable saving thing. But while it's not being dragged, it's not outputting the current drag spot. So we're setting this slider knob. So what we would really want is the current normalized output of the position of the knob, not necessarily the touch. So what we could do to alleviate this, if we're doing like a multi-slider thing, is just create some variables. And I don't know, maybe this is for knob 1, this is for knob 2, and this is for knob 3. And they're just numbers. And so set variable. So we would basically say whenever this one is being set, we want to save it. And then we would have another one where we're like, whenever this one is being set, we want to save it. And maybe the slider could be updated to output its current value, basically do this internally. It would save its value rather than just output whatever the current slider value is. Okay, and with these sets, they also come with an output get, so we don't have to like add extra nodes. We'll just do this basically, and then we'll plug these in so that it's getting our saved values. This is a super common practice. So if you're if you ever do visual scripting and you wonder how to do something like this is super common to just insert a variable in between two places so that it's saved at the last time that it was active so that you can continually access the last active value. And then from here, we would just make sure that anytime we're writing any of these, we're pulling all the last saved values. And then now, if we look at these values, it'll keep our, like this is set to 0.8, I let go, it'll stay at 0.8. And then my next one will change. You can see in this little box how the color updates here. And then if I drag this one up, we can look at my eye color and see if it's changing. Okay, eye color. So here's the opacity. There's the reflect. Okay, I was changing the color of the opacity. Texture? Eye color texture. No, that should be it, right? I'm just brown and my eyes are already brown. So there we get red if we turn it all the way up. And yeah, so this is kind of cool. I could see this being released. I mean, I could see this being released as hundreds of effects because I'm pretty sure people release hundreds of eye color effects every day. But this could be cool, especially if you were doing some more design with the sliders so that they're not just black and white gradients with a heart on it. And then the lip one is just kind of a bonus. So I could release this as make your own makeup. And then maybe
That's
somebody
really
would
good.
make this
Maybe this is your next makeup effect.
I might release this right now. Everybody hold on. I'll be right back. No.
Everybody go use it right now. This is how we trick the algorithm.
Make me famous. No, but I think that's a pretty simple solution. I think the variables I didn't really think about before, but it is very simple. I don't know if I would even add this into the subgraph. I think this is actually the better way to do it because it leaves it more flexible. But it's up to you. If you ever see a subgraph and you're like, that's almost the way that I like it, but I would like it slightly different, just like alter it. Just modify the subgraph and then click this little button, download your version of it. I highly suggest that too, because our brains all work a little differently. And sometimes you might find something works a lot better for you. And so you should make your own custom subgraphs as well.
August, I also want to inform you that while you were crafting this amazing image, we had a separate discussion going on chat about crocodiles versus alligators. What is their difference? And I am happy to announce my research. Crocodiles and alligators are both large prehistoric reptiles that are commonly confused with each other. However, they belong to different families. I'm shocked. I thought they were maybe like cousins or siblings, but no, they're different families and have distinct physical and behavioral differences. Crocodiles are generally larger and have a broader, flat snout, while alligators have a narrower, more pointed V-shaped snouts. In terms of behavior, crocodiles are more aggressive and known to attack and kill humans, while alligators are less likely to be aggressive and tend to avoid humans. So this, I think, makes alligators, which was one of the original votes, a better choice in terms of pet, and I'm glad that I listed alligator there instead of crocodiles. But they are crocodiles are mostly found in Africa and Asia, while alligators are native to North and South America. Who knew?
Wow. They're both separately become these creatures that look so similar. I think maybe we're all on our way to evolving into something like that. Maybe we're all on our way to the crocodile alligator evolution.
We're learning so much today. A crocodile, as you can see in this picture, has a V-shaped snout, and an alligator has a U-shaped snout. Thank you, Google, for teaching me things. And Urban Peppermint is saying, wow, thank you both. And they're saying, now this makes me regret all of the streams I've lost. Lots of information. You're not too late. You can come back. I'm really glad you're here, Urban Peppermint. Yeah, okay. Reading on to our next question. I have a question from Discord again. Oh, no, no. I have a question from the chat asked by Big Editor. They are asking if we can create something like this, a one line drawing. Let me make that bigger so that you guys can see. But can you draw something like this where you don't have to take your hand off and then you complete the entire drawing? If someone were to create something like this, how should they go about it, August?
Dang. This one's a big one. Okay. First, I'll save this project so that we could share it after the live, just in case. Yeah, live folder. um, okay, that works. Okay, so the line drawing thing, I've seen it. It's pretty trendy. And I think multiple different creators have been making it. So let's start with a fresh project. And let's get a couple starter ideas going. I think solving for all of the like possible edge cases will be really hard to come up with like a super sound solution, but I can give some starting ideas, and then maybe that will give some inspiration for where to go next. So the first thing you want, we'll do like a, let's just put down some dots on the screen. So I'll make this one pretty small. Sometimes this is what I do when I'm trying to come up with how to do something. I'll just like make some very simple representation of kind of the shapes of the things, like where they'll exist on the screen. That helps you think about it a little better. So we'll start with a triangle, just 3 dots. It's funny that it shows this lady's face. Like, even if we're not doing makeup, we're just doing 2D images. And I feel like, I'm sorry, lady, I didn't mean to put these on your face. Yeah, it just feels rude. It just feels kind of rude. Okay, and then we'll do some visual scripting. We'll create a fourth object. And this will be basically it'll be our first stroke. So I'll do stretch on this one. I think that's pretty important. And yeah, I'm trying to think of how I could use the asset library to bring some real assets in, and I don't think we can. We'll just make this line as skinny as we want the line to be, right? And then we'll put the pivot at one end, center of one end, which if you look at the pivot here, it would just be 0.50. So you just want to hard code it so that the line itself is just perfectly going from one to the next. Maybe it could be a little skinnier. I think in all of the examples I've seen, the line is a little skinnier than the marks that show it. And if we want to test the batch editing, we can select all of our dots, go to draw mode, go to ellipse. Okay, so when you're in ellipse mode, I think it automatically will kind of act as stretch. So if we want this to look correct, we'll just fix the height and width of all these. And thankfully, it only edits the size. Okay, so there's our 3 dots, and we have our line that we're going to draw. And this line is, okay, I don't really care. I was going to like make it a better size, but we'll just change the line. Okay. So now we have our line. Now let's think about this. We take our finger touch, Now, when you start or when you get near another dot, you want to have like a subgraph that just checks if it's close enough to any of these dots. And so the more dots you have, I guess the bigger the loop on that would be. Let's Yeah, let's just create. I'm trying to decide if I want to use one of my subgraphs or do everything from scratch. Let's just do everything from scratch. Okay, for loop, because that'll be better. We're going to put this in a subgraph. The input of the subgraph will be an array of things we want to loop through. And maybe there's probably going to be a trigger, so I'll leave that up there. We can always delete it. And we'll say, let's see, scene objects, others. I don't think you can do an array of others, though. Yeah, you can only do single of others. So let's do scene object array. And then we'll get array info so we can get the length of this array. Oops, and it needs to be switched to scene object. Oh, okay, never mind. And then I think that should be good there, less than the length of the array. Maybe this trigger can start the for loop. And we can have another value. Maybe this is the vec2. Maybe this is the touch position. So what I'm doing is just creating a thing to check if your current touch position is close enough to some radius to any of these dots. And when it's within a certain range, when it is close enough, we're basically going to say snap the current position of the touch to that point instead. And this is a pretty good start. So touch. And then this is going to be dots array, the array of the dots. Okay. And then if you want to write so with this for loop, I'm going to basically write a little algorithm. The first thing that we'll start with is an array variable, and this will say minimum distance. And so we want to find what the minimum distance is. So the starting minimum distance should be huge so that anything that comes after it is like automatically the next smallest distance. So the first thing we'll do is set this value before we start our loop to a really big number. And then we'll set it again if anything is smaller than it. And that'll be each time we loop, we'll check if the value is smaller than the current value so that we always end up with the smallest value. And with this method, we also want to have an index of which one it is. This will tell us which one was the last one that we set the minimum distance, so we know which one it was at the end. So then
the dots are perfectly positioned on your face that sometimes it overlaps with your eyes and your face.
Okay. Nice. That's great. I hope you got a screenshot of that, everyone.
Of course, everyone. I got a screenshot of that.
Okay. So the first thing is before we do this setting, we want to check if it's less than, and we're checking if the current distance is less than this distance. So we'll get to that in a sec. But basically, I think just to make it look nicer, we'll get another get variable here, so we don't have to stretch things around too much. And we'll say if the new minimum distance is less than the currently saved one, we'll plug this in, and then we'll calculate that minimum distance now. That's a kind of an important step. And then if it is less than, if it's the new minimum distance, then we'll set that new minimum distance to here as well. Okay. So to have that, we have the touch, we have the dots. Okay, we should have the right number. And the touch is going to need to be, we're going to need to remember to use the screen to pixel again. Let's just use the distance node. I think this should be fine. And we'll need to get item from array. That's a missing piece currently. And it's going to be a scene object array. Here's the current index from the for loop. So that's how we choose the index. And then the scene object array is right over here at the start. Now, to get the information we need out of this object that we're pulling from our array, we want to get component by type. And then this is how we get our screen transform. And from there, once we have our screen transform from the array, not just the scene object, then we can get position from screen transform. And you can see it right here, get position of screen transform. Now this is essentially the same as if you were to go to this get position. You're going to see that it's the same thing. One has a source filled in and one doesn't. So that they're going to be the same as if you pinned this and then just plugged this in. It's going to all be the same. So you just need something that gets a position from a screen transform and make sure that this is the source. And then now you can see why I was saying this is kind of a big project, because this is not even solving all of the other edge cases. It might get a little complicated, but this is a good start. Okay, so now we want the finger touch distance from the touch to this position. This is the position of the dot. And then now that we have this position of the dot, okay, so we have the distance over here. We've calculated this is the distance from the touch to the dot for this loop. If it is less than the minimum distance, then we want to make sure that we also save this to the minimum distance. Okay, and now we have our loop that will basically save the smallest distance and the index of which item it was. And then I think we would want to just use this for loop. This top executable is just next. So that's after the whole loop finishes. We can say we're done just in case. And then I guess we could output these two variables to make it more accessible. So I would just call this next. And then I would call this min distance. And really it should be minimum distance. But in programming, I feel like certain terms and certain phrases just get shortened always. You just always see minimum set as like min. And then we just plug these in here. Okay. So I think that should work. And now we have this array that you can put in as many dots as you want. Or you could do what I always do and just create a parent object and use my subgraph that kind of does the same thing, but with okay, I thought I was selecting the wrong one. But you just select a parent and it automatically gets all of the child objects. So that might be a little better, especially if you have a lot of dots and you're changing it a lot. Okay, one thing to keep in mind, screen to pixel is the subgraph that I use in every 2D project that has touch. And this just makes this current touch position pixel values instead of 0 to 1 normalized values. And then as crazy as it sounds, you want this to happen every single frame that you're touching. So it'll go through this loop every single update while you're touching the screen. And this will tell you which dot your touch is closest to. Closest dot. And we'll just, sometimes I like to use the word check if it's a subgraph that's just gathering data. Check closest. I don't know if that's the best way to do it, but okay. So now as we're dragging, and this next will enable us to do more stuff after this, we can set we can basically set the position of this. We also need to find the rotation of it. I don't think there's a look at that we can. Well, okay. There's 3D look at. Okay. Yeah. Maybe 2D look at would be useful. I could probably make a 2D look at right now. Okay, let's see. So we want it to rotate a certain amount, right? To point at a specific place. Let's get the dot down first. Let's check that this is working. So we'll set the position. And now you have the index. Okay, wait. We need the get item from array is what we need. Because we have the index, not the object. And oh, the array is also here. You know what? That is kind of annoying. The parent solution seems to work better. But I'll do a make array. Thank God my house is still safe, probably. My smoke detector continues to go off. Okay, so we're going to do the same thing we did before, but we're going to put it in a make array node. And that means that we can output the same one to multiple places. This isn't probably what I would do for a final design, but it works. Okay, number array, we're going to do scene object, right? Yeah, again, it would be nice if we had an array of screen transforms. Get component by type. Screen transform. And then we're going to do get position. Get position of screen transform. Wow, that's a long string of things. Okay, so we got this get position from screen transform. I guess we're just going to set this. Now the condition, and this is why we saved that min distance. We're only going to do this if it's close enough. So if the min distance is less than, let's say, 30 pixels. If it's less than 30 pixels, then we'll set it here. Otherwise, we're just going to drag this thing to wherever this touch is. So this is getting a little messy because there's a lot of parts. But yeah, so if it's not close enough, we're just going to set it to wherever the touch is. So now if you see this, basically it's a drag and drop kind of thing. Wherever I touch, it's going to follow until I get within 30 of that, and then it'll snap. So let's make that value a little bigger so that it's more obvious. 300. Whenever I get within range, it's like a black hole and it just sucks it in. And then you can see, even though it stays within that range, as soon as it gets closer to another dot, it'll go there. So this is a very vital part of how you would start to make that other game. So the idea is this would help you move objects to these dots, and then you have this pivot point set so that it starts here, and then you have you basically calculate the rotation to the next one, and you basically make this this line go from one to the next dot. And then it gets a little more complicated because you want to kind of lock in certain lines. So then I think you would be pooling kind of a list of these lines that you want to draw. And once you get to another node, you kind of drop the line there. And then you increase in your kind of loop of these lines and you start moving the next one. And then once you connect to another node, you stop moving that next one and move on to the next one. And so you're really just kind of calculating this starting point. In fact, you probably notice how I'm dragging this random line around like this, right? So then another step would be that would be good for when you already have the line down. But before you get this starting position, you'll probably just want to just set this to something off screen. Like, I think this would be the easiest part because then you're just moving it. You don't have to turn it off and on. But you could also set it, disable it, or turn the opacity off. But this way you can see when I'm dragging it around anywhere. Okay, 300 is a lot. Let's change it to more like 80. You can see anytime I'm touching on screen, not near a dot, it's not anywhere. But then here is where it is. And so I guess the other part that would make this feel a little more complete is if we make this line connect two dots. So let's try to do that. Okay. So I think once it hits a dot and you let go is when you would want to lock it in, right? Maybe not. It seems like a lot of these puzzles, you actually just drag over all the lines, and as soon as it touches the dot, it locks it in. So then you might want to keep track of all of the dots that have already, you would kind of remove them from this array. That would be a good way. So then we would create a variable that is a scene object array. And that way we could remove items from it if we want. So I guess we could start out with the default value here, the third time we're creating this array. And then we would just dot list. And then instead of having this hard-coded one here, we would just plug this in. And then that way, let's just test this. When there is, okay. So if the min distance is less than 80, then we know it's not going to be 99999. So we know that it has found some dot. So at that point, in this true block, after we set the position, we want to maybe for this one, we just don't do anything. Maybe we just don't move it. And to start, we keep it off screen. That way we're not moving it off screen as soon as we remove a dot. Okay, so then when this true happens, we'll remove item from array, and we'll get that source array again. And we're literally going to remove the one we just matched with so it can never match with anyone again. That sounded kind of weird. This index is the one we want, and we want that to be the from and to. Really seems like, yeah, it seems a little weird that we have from and to. It seems like that would be really useful if you're doing like batch removes of a section. But yeah, it would also be nice to have this same node with just one index. Okay, so what we should see if we demonstrate this right now is when we get close to this one, it'll stay there until we get close to another one. And then it should not be able to return to this first one Yeah, so it can't return because that dot was removed. So that is a really good start to this game. Now the next thing we would want to do, yeah, I think we do have to calculate the rotation. If we had the 3D look at node, that might simplify some of this. That would be pretty helpful. Oh, wait, there's a look at here too, right? Is this 3D only? I think this is 3D only. Well, I'd love for the 2D nodes for that to get filled out. Okay, so what do we need? Now we need the first time you touch it, the object goes there, goes to the first dot. And that'll be a cyclical thing. So you'll want basically to, the first time it hits a dot, you want your current object. So we would want an array of lines too. Here, this is line 1 actually. Yeah, this is going to be, I don't know how much further we'll get, but I think this is a good start. I think this really gets you at least half of the way there. So let's see, for rotation based on looking at a specific thing. So up is going to be 0 rotation, we're going to say. And we'll scale the Y. So this height, 1280, we're just going to set it to 0. And maybe we could set that here. So set size. And this will also come from an array. You'll have to modify this and do an array of lines. But for this first one, we'll just say, we'll probably use a counter. A counter and like a list of lines. And then for the first one, you'll set the height to 1 or 0, I guess. And then you'll, and then the next time it hits a dot, you'll set the end position of the first one and the new position and new height of the next one. So let's see. Okay. Let's just add a counter in here, and we'll just do 1/2 of each of these counter pieces. 1 from 0 to 10. Okay. And then one quick way to set this up is just a switch statement so that it does a different thing each time it comes into here. This might not be how I end it though, you know? So this, and then you'll have a second line, and that'll be line 2. And this second line, you'll want to do this same height setting on. I guess you don't really need to if they're all defaulted to this, but you get what I'm doing. So line 2 will have the height set, and then we'll set the rotation of line 1, and then we'll also set the height of line 1. So then you've got this like flow going where it's like, okay, shrink this line down. The next one, you shrink the next line down and expand the previous line and rotate it towards its goal. So that height is going to be the distance between the two dots. So then in that scenario, okay, so you could say from the current position to the current dot. So that's a pretty good. Actually, we already measured that inside this subgraph. Ah, dang. Okay, so this index, and then where did we, okay. This index, okay, so this is the position. So distance between this, that's the position of the currently hovered over dot, and Oh, dang. But we're... Okay. Sequence. We need a sequence node. I'm foreseeing so many little problems, so I'm just trying to get them out of the way before they become real problems. So the thing is, if you remove an item from an array and then you try to access that item in the array, it's not going to be there. You're going to get a different item, and it's going to be very confusing. So what we want to do is do all of our logic with our current frame, and then at the end of the frame, we'll remove that dot from the array so that it doesn't mess anything up. And then here, we'll take this distance, and we'll... So I think we really need to get... I think we need a get position of this line 1. We're just going to say the position. Oh, no, wait. Almost forgot what I was doing because I'm doing a lot. So we're using this distance as the height, and then we're going to rotate it so that that height perfectly aligns from one dot to the next. And then this x value should just be that same 28.55. We don't want to change the width when we do this. 28.55. And this will be that. And then we just have to remember to set this position over, use this get position over here to find the distance. So let's see what happens. We move it here, and then we move it here. Okay, so it should, it's setting the size. So it set it to 300, and then position is 150. Okay, did it actually set that? Let's see. Oh, it already did that. Okay. Oh, wait. Let's see. So it's at 0. If I go here, it executed the second line already. Okay, so I think the counter the counter starts at 0, but as soon as you execute it, it's going to start at 1. So you have to kind of, on the counter, if you want to do stuff like this, you've got to watch these values when you're testing and make sure that they're the right ones. So we basically want from -1, so that the first time it executes, it's 0. A little confusing. So then we get here. You can kind of see it. I don't know if you can see it on your screen, but I can see it pop up on top of the black dot. And then when I hover over it, it disappears. Okay, let's see. Let's watch that again. So the first one it executes is that top one. And then the next one, once I get here, it executes the next one. The rotation is 0. Line 2, it's just setting the height. Oh, wait, did we never set the position? Oh no, we set the position here. Oh, I think we reset the position. Yeah, so I think that's another thing, is we probably need to move where we're setting the position over to this switch statement so that we're not moving it every single time. So now let's see. Okay, so that's more of what I expected. Now the other thing is we need to calculate the rotation so that instead of sticking straight up, it's pointing over to the other dot. And there's the thing that I like to do for this is use Google and just look up like angle of a right triangle, just because this is classic math, and you'll just find a million websites that are telling you that formulas, and then you can convert it to visual scripting. So we can look at it like a right triangle. Basically any dot is going to be at some angle, and we can see this vertical line formed by this line here. That'll kind of be one of the sides of our triangle. Then the line directly from one dot to another is the hypotenuse. And then the other line from the top of this line to the other dot is going to be the other side of the triangle. And then you can use math equations from like math websites to be like, okay, so I need sine, cosine, and then you'll create this angle. So yeah, sorry, I don't have it memorized. Just going to be looking up, finding this formula. Celine, anything going on in the chat?
Lots of fun things happening in the chat. I want to update people that there was a fan of people who have declared that they want a pet horse. So I am less sad now that they have some boats in. Urban Peppermint even told me that it was a mistake. They wanted to tap on the horse, but they accidentally clicked on something else. So we did have a horse fans before. For those of you who are just joining the chat right now, welcome, welcome. On the TikTok live side, we also have the same poll running. If you could select any pet that you can have, what would it be? Would it be a pet alligator, pet cat, pet camel, or pet horse? And as everybody know, I am team pet horse. But in the meantime, here is a sleepy cat. Guys, check out my sleepy cat. I also have one sitting right there. Hello, everyone. I'm also seeing that people are submitting more questions. I think due to time, we won't be able to answer them today, but we put them in our list of question bank and we'll answer them in the next round. So definitely go ahead and still add your questions. Let's see. We are also getting questions from the TikTok live chat audience saying, hey, I want to upgrade my effect level. Does it only apply for effects that you've created in the PC, or can you also use your mobile app to do that? For those, unfortunately, you have to use a computer first. But if anybody, I know we have a lot of pro creators in the chat right now. If you guys have any advice for upcoming new creators, please let us know. Like, hey, start out with the templates or create an effect that's currently trending on TikTok, like about a topic that's already trending on TikTok. Definitely let us know. August, are we ready?
Yeah, I think okay. So what you kind of want to do most of the time, I'll just flash this website briefly. Here's like an example of one of many websites where it'll give you the formulas. So this one is showing like the arc sine of A over C, which C is the hypotenuse. A is the opposite side across from the angle that you're looking for. So we can kind of use this knowing that A sine node is the arc sine. And C is going to be the distance of our line that we just set, this height. So this value here. So we can kind of use these things in a little subgraph to make it easier to see. And then, yeah, so let's just say hypotenuse. Oh, wait. How do you spell hypotenuse? Oh, no. I never needed to.
Just write hippopotamus instead.
Hippopotamus. Okay. And then opposite side, I'll call that one opposite. And then these are just
hypotenuse. I was trying to type for hypotenuse to give you a spelling, but I typed I guess the wrong spelling, and now I'm on a Medline Plus medical encyclopedia page that says the hypothalamus is an area of the brain that produces hormones that control body temperature, heart rate, hunger, and mood. Oh my gosh, why is it so hard to spell?
So opposite over hypotenuse, and then plug it into the arc sine, and that should be our angle. And then we just have to figure out how to use this angle because we know that directly up is going to be 0 degrees. So we're kind of aligning our whole system to work like that. Okay, so our hypotenuse distance, this is the length, by the way. Hypotenuse length is going to be that. And then the opposite length, if we think of the angle that we're trying to get, it's like I mentioned before, it's like this is the long side. So that's going to be the y distance. And then our hypotenuse is this xy combination distance. And then the other opposite wall is going to be just the x distance. So that's going to be the x distance between the two dots. Or since we know that our object, our line here, is also set on that first dot, it's going to be very similar to this. Instead of this distance, we're actually going to do something very similar, where we take well, we don't need distance actually. Oh yeah. Is this okay to do? Sorry, I'm just thinking about how it'll basically just be the x component of this. But is that always going to be true? I'm trying to think of this hypotenuse. Okay, yeah, because we don't have the equation for the hypotenuse line. We just have the distance of the line. So we'll just want some split nodes. We're going to get this position, and we're going to also do a split node with the other position. Or we could do a split node after we subtract. Oops. So we're going to subtract the current one minus, minus the first position. So new position minus second position. And then we're just going to split this out. And we just want that x distance. So this is getting into some like, you either became an engineer after high school or you hate this. Is how I feel. I feel like when I try to show this kind of stuff, people are like, oh my God, my brain. Or they're like, yes, I did that last Tuesday. Okay, so now we have the angle. This is a powerful piece right here. Just because, at least for me, it's not something that I hold in my brain. And alpha was the name of that angle, based on the equation that we used where we're defining this as hypotenuse and opposite. We can just set this rotation and see what happens. So if we click here and then here, that angle is going to be nothing. So rad to degree. Good thing I have done a lot of weird experiments, and I remember that the small value that you're seeing is radians. There's 3.14 of them. No, that's like half of a circle. There's 2 times 3.14, I think, in 360 degrees. So this converts it to degrees. And then we'll have it a little better. Okay, great, but opposite. And then just to make it actually go the correct direction, we want to make it rotate the opposite direction. And so there we go. Okay. And so now, if you extrapolate what I've done, and for the next switch statement, you move on to a line 3, and then you do the same operations to this line 2, do these things to line 2, then it will keep drawing a line. And what you really want, if you're making this game, what everybody else does is they put the dots in front of the lines, especially after you're done debugging stuff. And then it draws them nicely like this. So all the pieces are there. If you could make this and you just were stuck, this should fully get you unstuck and you should be able to create one of these projects. And then there's just a lot of things to look out for. The thing that I find the hardest with making this kind of thing is if you were to make a game where you have to tell the person that they failed or succeeded, that part is a little harder. Because for this one, it's easy. You just hit one dot each time. But for instance, what if I tried to draw back over onto the starting dot after these two? Then that would be the wrong answer, right? You can't go back over the same lines. But how do you tell that? I guess you would keep an array of lines represented by two dots. And every time that you draw a new line, you check, did I basically try to add this line based on these two dots to an array, and then check, did this already exist? If it already existed, then then this doesn't work. You're drawing over the same line again. Maybe something like that. But it gets a little heavier with each piece that you add to it. And so altering it and building it up, you kind of have to make sure that you don't leave yourself with too unwieldy of a chunk of code. I think this works pretty well so far. I don't think there's anything that is too unwieldy, other than I might compartmentalize some of this stuff into subgraphs for sure, so that I don't have to copy paste this whole section. I would just kind of copy paste a subgraph and then just input line 1, line 2, and it would be a little easier to handle. But yeah, that was a big one today. I think this basic is kind of what I promised at the beginning, and we got it done even with the rotation part.
That was an absolute beast of a project, and I'm glad that we could get through it. I'm sure that it's going to inspire a lot of people to create something like this. So awesome job.
And if you do want to make something like this, I would make it sooner rather than later, because
now that the secret sauce is out,
that, and this is like a halfway done template now. Maybe somewhere in the distant future this will become a template, and then anybody can make these. So you want to get your ideas out before everybody can do it.
Sounds good, everyone. Thank you so much for visiting today. And before we are ending, I want to show this amazing effect by Mike Blackhat, who is in our YouTube chat right now. They have an amazing effect that is going viral at the moment, using the amazing cat effect. So let me show you. Let's see. I wanted to connect my phone to my computer, but at the moment, for some reason, it's not working. But I have this mini cat, and it's so cute. Here, I'll show you guys a video. It's walking all over my computer screen. Oh my gosh, look at this. This is amazing. Let's see how my actual cat reacts to this virtual cat. Oh, no. My cat is just stomping all over her. Oh no. I'll show you guys. Here. She's just stomping all over my cat, and they have no regards. This cat has no regards for my cat. So thank you, Mike Blackhat, for this amazing effect. I'll put his username so you guys can go try this effect by yourself. And what is the effect name called? Let me double check for you guys so you guys can check it out. It's named Kitten, and it's created by Mike Blackhat. So everybody go check it out. Thank you, everyone, for coming to the office hour today. And thank you, August, of course, for making this amazing effect. And I hope you guys all have a great rest of your day. Before ending, if you guys are interested in learning